And welcome to another one of my videos. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the gold price going to 1400. Yes, but no, I will explain about that throughout this vlog. Um, I thought I'd just kind of talk about the market for a change. I tend to do a lot of tutorial type videos and going for coins, but it's nice to give my insights on some things. Before I do get into the video, I do want to talk about what I proposed in the last video. So I kind of put it to you guys that I wanted to gauge any interest on a subscription styled YouTube. For me, it's a strange one because in a weird sense, I'm actually doing okay as a trader. But for me to put these types of videos out, the more educational, in-depth ones, the amount of money it costs me, it's not even huge. It's a chasm in terms of what it's cost me compared to what YouTube brings back to me. But it goes against my nature. Like, I set this channel up as an educational channel. When I set it up, I didn't think I would have this problem, and it is a good problem to have. And I do want to do the nitty gritty style videos. It would take a lot of pressure off me if I could monetize it in a way, but it's not quite there. But I don't want to put you guys in a situation where essentially I'm becoming a consultant and monetizing, trying to help people. Someone did suggest doing something like a Patreon, which is more like a Wikipedia style of things. I don't know. I'm undecided, but for now, I think I'm going to knock the subscription style YouTube on its head. I don't want it to be those who can afford it versus those who cannot. It goes against my beliefs as an individual, and some people just don't want to pay it, which is fair enough. YouTube is a free platform. Now, getting into the actual video, gold has finally reached £45 a gram, so £1,400, and you might be thinking, yeah, that's great. But the reality is, if you scratch a bit beneath the surface, the market's not in a good place. It hasn't been in a good place for around maybe 8 months or so. It's been slower and slower and slower. Now, I've been around the block a few times. This isn't my first year. I've been trading for a long time. I think I've done like 4 or 5 years. I think this is my 4th year as a pro. And traditionally, February is slow. It's always been slow, bar last year. But last year was a very unique set of circumstances. You had a lot of people come into the market because they had a lot of free time and they wanted to devote it to a new hobby, or they had more money coming in than they expected. And a lot of people came into the market. It was like, buy, 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 buy. A lot of these buyers are now stale bulls. They're no longer buyers. They've exited the market. Some of them have exited at a loss. I know people, they were coming to me saying, oh, I want to trade. And do you have any stock? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'll give them a cut rate. And they think that they're doing well because they've made a bit of money for a few months. And then the market turns. They've bought either too high or too high to trade anyway. They've probably bought at a fairly decent rate if they were buying for the long term. But they're no longer here. A lot of the buyers now is that they're so few and far between. This month has been getting like blood out of a stone. And that's okay. I worked really hard last year. I worked pretty much every day. I wasn't ill. I was ill for 2 months. I worked pretty much 10 months. And I worked solid because I've seen it before. You go through really good times and everyone's buzzing and it's all on the media and gold is doing well. And then it's not. It's no longer on the media. There's a lot of people that want to make a bit of quick money. And I can't fault that. There's nothing wrong with that. My role as a dealer is not to kind of speculate on the gold price to see where it's going, but just to make the spread. That's all I'm trying to make. So I make the spread. Hopefully I do it enough that I pay my bills and I pay myself, and then whatever's left goes into investing or it goes into more stock, which is great for me because when the bad times come, I have to rely on that. Now, I don't doubt I'm gonna not pay my bills. Or I don't doubt I can pay my bills, should I say. But is it going to be like last year where I made a lot of money? No, it's not. It's going to be tough. And I think it's going to be tough for many reasons. It's great that gold's gone up, but also everything else has gone up. So your bills have gone up, your food's gone up. Tell you what hasn't gone up though is your wages. So what you're going to see in the market is, even though the price is spiking, even though the price will probably go even higher than it is now, I've actually got 15 to 1600 penciled in. I've had it penciled in for a very, very long time. And that's great when it goes up over time. It's not great when it spikes, which is what we might have due to the potential war in Ukraine. Because what happens when it spikes, it then comes back down pretty sharply. I can't time a market. I'm a skilled trader. I can't time a market. That's why I run the business model I do. But what you're going to find in a market like this is, even though the price is going up, you're going to struggle to sell because the buyers are very picky, and because a lot of the buyers at the bottom end of the scale who are not earning as much, they're going to have their household spends eaten into. So the margins, or maybe not the margins, but the premiums are going to drop on gold and silver, which you may be thinking, yeah, that's great. And to an extent it is. That's your natural cycle. But what's going to happen is, if you can't sell it on peer to peer, you're going to have to sell it to a dealer. And if a dealer can't sell it, they're going to lower what they pay you. So a dealer might go from paying spot to paying 95% of spot. So we're still in the same position. It's just the goalposts have moved downwards. So say it spikes to say £2,000 an ounce, but you're only getting 95% of it. Is that good in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. It depends where you bought, I guess. I've always said to people that you should pound cost average when buying. That's essentially what I do as a trader. When you pound cost average, you're going to buy sometimes when it's high, you're going to buy sometimes when it's low, but you're going to be here. So when it goes up to here, I have to do it the other way because I'm on camera. If you sell on the peer-to-peer market, you're going to get here. If you sell to a dealer, you're going to get here. You cannot do that if you buy all in once. You just can't. If you buy £200,000 worth of sovereigns and you take it to a dealer, they're not going to offer you spot. It's too big a deal for most dealers. If they do offer you spot, they've got to line up another buyer just to take risk off their books. This is a risk game. And if you get that risk wrong, you get burnt. So what's happened in the good times, there was actually a few people I sold to, and I gave them a trade rate. The reason I gave them a trade rate was because I was so busy as an individual that I couldn't move them as singles. I had to get them off the books via trade. I did very well out of it. However, if these traders, the newer traders, if they haven't moved it on by now, they're taking losses on them. You're going to see some of those traders, they're going to exit the market, because if they don't have the cash flow, they're going to get crippled. They really will. This is a brutal market when it wants to be. When the times are good, they can be very lucrative. When they're bad, it's a bloodbath. And you're going to see pretty much survival of the fittest. It's the people with the biggest bank, the people with the biggest cash flows, the people with the most contacts. And these are your established dealers. These are the people at the top. Now, they are the guys who will come out on top, and they'll do very well. There's going to be a situation where the people, your average Joe who wants to buy for his kids, or someone who's building a collection, wealth is going to exchange hands very quickly. Because what's going to happen is, if there's no buyers on the market, you do this, you drop and drop and drop and drop until you get to either a dealer level and they can hold it, or you drop and drop and drop and drop until you sell to an individual who has a lot of bank. Because they know if they can hold on to it and they can ride it out, however long that may be, it may be 6 months, it may be 12 months, it may be 2 years, 3 years, etc. They're going to come out pretty. So what do I do? I'm already stock heavy. I just trade around the fringes. If something doesn't sell, I move on to something else. I'm a variety channel for a reason. There's a reason you don't just see sovereigns all the time, because I know if the market goes against me, that's me wiped out unless I want to take a loss on those coins. And that's not where I want to be. So if I was you, if I was in your position as an individual, I'd love to be a buyer. I wouldn't want to be a seller. For me, it doesn't really matter. I make a spread. But if I had strong hands and I was a buyer, there's going to be lots of good things come on the market that are going to be pretty cheap. You're going to find a lot of like the semi-numi stuff. It's going to be pretty cheap. I saw ounces of silver go for, I think it was 21.50 earlier, and that's cheap, relatively speaking. A few weeks ago, you would have been getting 24, 25. And that is what it is. You make it in the good times, and you hold it in the bad times, and you buy in the bad times if you can.